Pick your mans up.
And just because people used to come through shooting at us every day. And this block, words can't even explain, man. Can't even explain.
Yeah, man.
Little School Valley, 05 way on money.
Young Money, man. They in the building.
600 boy, LA, man. LA Capone, man. Get it to him, man. OC2 boys, man. Team
Number 9, man. Number 9 shooter, you hear me?
Hey, Ricky, little bitch. Yeah. Fuck is wrong with you? Hey, I am Brick Squad. Brick Squad, boy. Fuck is you talking about, boy?
You have to be willing to die or go to jail for 100 years if that's the lane that you're stepping in. You have to understand that whether you 15, 16, you got to think like a man. You know what I'm saying?
So don't be in it. Oh, you're not? Why does everybody say you're only 16 years old?
They say what they want to say.
How old are you?
300.
The story of Face World 079. This video will focus on Face World 079 and the latest developments surrounding the federal RICO indictment that was made public a few weeks ago. According to the indictment, alleged members of the Face World street gang were involved in a wide range of violent criminal activity, including 13 murders, multiple attempted murders, assaults, armed robberies, and carjackings across Chicago. The violence described in the indictment includes shootings targeting passengers on a CTA bus and even mourners attending the funeral of a rival gang member who was allegedly killed by Face World affiliates. Prosecutors also claim that the defendants and other alleged members used threats and intimidation to prevent victims and witnesses from cooperating with law enforcement. In addition, authorities state that members promoted the gang on social media, posting photos, videos, and messages to claim affiliation, taunt rivals, and boast about acts of violence. The indictment further alleges that members were involved in trafficking cocaine and heroin in both Chicago and Iowa. I hope you enjoy the video. First and foremost, what has exactly happened? In early December of last year, the FBI arrested 6 members of a set known as Face World 079. 3 weeks later, on December 22nd, a federal grand jury formally indicted the 6 alleged members of the Southside Chicago street gang. The indictment accuses them of operating a criminal enterprise responsible for armed robberies, carjackings, murders of rivals, and using violence to protect their territory. According to the indictment, the so-called Face World enterprise engaged in long-standing and violent feuds with multiple rival street gangs, including Wagga World and 900. Prosecutors state that members identified themselves by saying and writing 079, a reference to Chicago's 79th Street. They allegedly used hand signs to disrespect rivals and invoke deceased members of their own group in slogans and messaging. The indictment further alleges that Face World was responsible for 13 murders, numerous assaults, and a pattern of carjackings used to obtain vehicles that were then driven into rival neighborhoods to carry out shootings. In addition, members are accused of transporting illicit drugs from Chicago to Iowa and distributing narcotics in both locations. The indictment also outlines several specific incidents of violence that were allegedly carried out by the group, which we are about to break down. As mentioned earlier, 6 members from Face World 079, not to be confused with Face World 069, were taken into federal custody. Some of them were already well known, while others were less publicly recognized. It's also important to note that more than just these 6 individuals are referenced in the investigation. Several other alleged members connected to the case are already incarcerated on separate murder and felony convictions. The 6 arrested individuals are as follows: Dante Harper, also known as Date or Tay Savage. He is the older brother of Duvie Foy from Face World and is alleged to have been directly involved in at least 3 murders. Tyrone Foy, also known as D. Roy, who allegedly caught bodies within a 2-day span and was involved in a double homicide involving 2 females. Taiwan Tapler, also known as Ty, who is also alleged to have participated in the same double homicide of 2 females, in addition to 2 other murders. Robert Lee Thomas, also known as Lil Rob, who is accused of being involved in 4 murders. Davian Harris, also known as Dinko, who allegedly took part in 3 murders. And finally, Devian McClure, also known as Disco, who was reportedly present during 2 murders. Beyond these 6, other Face World members are tied to the broader investigation but are already locked up. This includes Chubbs, Duvifor's brother, who is currently incarcerated on a murder charge. There is also Flup, the son of Mikey D from Art Gang, who is alleged to have been involved in at least 8 murders, as well as Duvifor himself, who is also alleged to have been connected to at least 8 murders. At last, there is Moni, who was involved in 2 murders. Before we dive deeper into the specific murders outlined in the indictment, I want to first give some background on Face World 079 as a set, including their history, known members, allies, and enemies. Understanding the context will make it much easier to follow the details of the RICO case and see how everything connects later on. First of all, there are 2 different Face World sets, 069 and 079. Today they are rivals and beef heavily with each other, but it wasn't always that way. This video will mainly focus on Duvie and Face World 079, but the origins of 079 are closely tied to 069, since both sets were formed at the same time and for the same reason. Face World 069 and Face World 079, named after the main streets where they are located, previously went by different names. 069 was known as Bogus 3, while 079 went by Boys Town 3. Both were BD-dominated sets. Around the years leading up to 2010, members of the 2 groups were cool with each other. They were essentially allies, and some individuals even dual-claimed both gangs. One of those members was Lil Face, who represented both Bogus and Boys Town. He was a very young member who was deeply loved and respected by both sets. Tragically, Lil Face was gunned down at just 15 years old. Lil Face was shot and killed on October 17, 2010, in the 2500 block of Lithuanian Plaza Court. He was standing on the sidewalk when at least 2 gunmen reportedly ran up and opened fire. Face, whose real name was Cornell Henderson, was transported to Christ Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. His mother said that Face loved baseball, basketball, cars, and music. "He is my baby. We're going to miss him," said his mother, Desiree. She explained that he had simply been outside playing with friends and stated that she did not believe he was the intended target. Holding up his 8th grade graduation photos, she spoke about the big hopes she had for her son and the future she envisioned for him. One of Lil Face's friends from the neighborhood said she heard the gunshots. "I was in my computer room, and I heard some gunshots. I didn't really know what it was. Then I got a phone call saying he died, and I didn't believe it. Crazy," she said. "I didn't know he was in no gang." Reports state that shell casings from 2 different firearms were recovered at the scene, confirming that at least 2 shooters were involved. Police also confirmed that Lil Face had no prior arrests, and his family maintained that he was not involved in a gang, though families often make that claim in situations like this. After his death, many members paid tribute to him on Twitter, making it clear how loved he was in the area. That became even more evident in the months that followed, when 2 different groups adopted his nickname in his honor, leading to the creation of the Two-Face World sets. The individuals who allegedly killed Lil Face are said to be from a set known as RICO, which stands for Bell Oakley Claremont Organization. They are an active group in Marquette Park and are known for their long-standing beef with 069 Face World, formerly known as Bogus Bogus. RICO originally began as a block club meant to unite families within the blocks they controlled, but over time, it eventually evolved into a gang. The set is primarily made up of gangster disciples, though it also includes a few Mo's and BDs. After Lil Face's death, 069 and 079 unexpectedly began sneak dissing each other over who the real Face World was. Members from 069 would often refer to 079 as Fake World or Jake World, and they also claimed that 079 used to come to 069's neighborhood when it was time to celebrate Lil Face's birthday and honor his memory. From that point on, you could say the tension between the Two-Face World sets steadily increased. There are members from 079 who claim that Lil Face originally grew up over there, while 069 insists that Face primarily hung out in their hood. Doobie addressed this situation in an interview a couple of years ago, explaining that there isn't any real animosity between the two sides, but there isn't a friendship either. Still, during the period when the sneak dissing was at its peak, physical fights could break out. Both sets have their own separate enemies to deal with, and from what I understand, 079 and 069 never truly had serious issues with each other. They simply are not as close as they once were. Like many relationships, they grew apart over time, but there is no deep bad blood. You can even hear members from 079 speak about this in interviews. Today, 079 also goes by Nusky Gang or True Block. As for 069, it consists of several different cliques that fall under the Bando Boys/Cross Western umbrella. Some that come to mind include Gong, M-Block, Block, and Rock Block, though those affiliations tend to shift over time, so there may be more or fewer active at any given point. Now we will focus strictly on 079. Face World 079 is located from 79th to 83rd, stretching from Vincennes to Wentworth. 79th Street is, of course, an iconic strip, but areas like 80th and Stewart are also important, as that is where many True Block members were formed. True Block is another name for Face World 079 and was established in early 2014 following the death of a member known as True from Face World 079, formerly Boys Town. True was respected on both sides and had strong ties to both 069 and 079. His real name was Tremaine Scott. On the day he was killed, True was walking with friends in the 8200 block of South Princeton Avenue when a male approached him and started a fight. During the altercation, the individual who initiated the fight reportedly pulled out a gun and shot True in the chest. He was later pronounced dead at the hospital. Rumors suggest that True had agreed to fight a DoD member. According to that version of events, True went over there, beat the individual in the fight, and then someone from DoD shot him. True was deeply loved within his community, which is why 079 later adopted the name True Block in his honor. He was also very close to OTF Newski from Face World, who is known as the cousin of both Lil Durk and Doobie 4. After the murder, DoD allegedly mocked both True and Face World heavily. There is even a photo circulating of them setting fire to a pair of True Religion jeans as a form of disrespect. The gang responsible for that murder, DoD, also known as Dre Gang, is one of Face World 079's main enemies and is located around 68th and Michigan. There have been losses on both sides over the years. The conflict between the two sets reportedly began in December 2013 when Face World 079 killed Dre, also known as Drago, who was affiliated with DoD. The shooting occurred about a week before Christmas. Drago and a friend were walking home from school that day. He was part of a group known as the Bucket Boys, who were often seen downtown or in L stations playing drums on empty buckets. On that cold December afternoon, he and his friends were heading home from Chatham Academy Charter High School when two men approached them from behind, one of whom was armed with a revolver, according to family and friends. The two men asked where they were from, and the group responded that they were simply from the neighborhood. Just before the shooting, the revolver was reportedly pointed directly at Drago's chest. A 19-year-old bucket boy and friend later said he tried to push the gun away but slipped on the ice as he backed up. As he fell, one of the men allegedly told the gunman to pull the trigger. He shot him as he fell, the friend recalled. Dre was struck 6 times and was pronounced dead less than an hour later at Advocate Christ Medical Center in Oak Lawn. The alleged shooter, Iman from Face World 079, was arrested shortly after the incident due to witness cooperation with law enforcement. In 2017, Iman was sentenced to 47 years in prison. Doobie later referenced Dre's death in the song Exposing Me, featuring Kivo, where he rapped, "We the ones put Dre on TV."
D-Fly.
My name Dondre.
My name Brent.
We the
Bucky boys, man.
However, Face World 079's main enemy is Wugga World, which is located around 75th and Stewart. Back in high school, around 2010 to 2012, some of the younger members from 079 were actually cliqued up with Wugga World. This was despite the fact that their allies from 069 Bogus already had ongoing issues with Wugga World, a conflict that traces back to Paul Robeson and EHS. There are even photos from 2012 showing Lil Mister alongside members of Wugga World. The fallout reportedly began after the murder of J Loud on Christmas Eve in 2012. He was allegedly killed by Face World 069, and 079 is said to have sided with 069 once tensions escalated. J Loud was a member of CMB and was extremely close to Brick Squad, who in turn were very close with Wugga World. Because of those alliances, when 079 chose to stand with 069, sneak dissing between 079 and Wugga World, Brick Squad, and CMB began. Not long after that, the conflict fully erupted. Another factor that intensified the tension was that J Loud was allegedly with members from Bakwa at the time of his death. Bakwa is the set that allegedly killed Lil Face, the incident that led to the creation of Face World. Face World has long-standing hatred toward Bakwa, which added another complicated layer to the conflict. The war between Face World 079 and Wugga World reportedly began in the spring of 2014 when Jawan Porter, also known as Juju from Face World 079, was shot and killed. Juju was standing with a group of friends in the 7900 block of South Vincennes Avenue when two gunmen approached and opened fire. He was struck multiple times and pronounced dead at the scene. A 26-year-old friend who was with him was shot in the chest and shoulder but survived. Juju was only 18 years old at the time of his death. As mentioned earlier, Wugga World was allegedly responsible for the killing, and many believed it became clear shortly after the incident. One reason people point to is that Marco from Face World 079 reacted publicly on Twitter, writing, "Man, these coward Wugga World dudes just took my lil homie, man." Bill from Face World 079, also known as True Block, also addressed the situation on Facebook, posting, "Whole war was a game changer when they hit Juju 09, followed by a heartbreak emoji. After Juju's murder, tensions escalated rapidly, and it marked a turning point in the conflict. From that point on, Face World, particularly Duty 4, began heavily targeting and dissing Wugga World, intensifying the ongoing feud between the two sides." Now, back to the RICO case. At this point, you have the background on Face World, their history, their allies, and the sets they have been at war with, along with the reasons behind those conflicts. The murders and incidents outlined in the federal investigation primarily took place between 2019 and 2021, which are the years I will now be focusing on. There is a significant amount of history that happened prior to 2019, but I have already covered those earlier events in another video titled The Story of Doobie 4 from Face World, where you can find more detailed information about the previous murders and shootings connected to the set. I'm going to lay everything out in chronological order. First and foremost, between 2019 and 2021, a small group of Face World 079 members allegedly committed at least 13 murders. I say at least because those are the cases the FBI has chosen to charge and prosecute, but there could potentially be other incidents where investigators did not have enough evidence to bring federal charges. In addition to those 13 murders, the indictment also outlines multiple other acts of violence, including several shootings, attempted murders, carjackings, and armed robberies during that same time period. Just like the FBI did in the indictment, we will also begin with the most high-profile and widely discussed case, the murder of Lil Mr. from Wagga World, which occurred on March 15, 2019. Lil Mr. was a well-known figure in the Chicago drill scene because of his music career. His most famous song is No Lackin', featuring RICO from Brick Squad. Lil Mr. was killed after being run down and shot multiple times in Wagga World territory. He was walking along the 7400 block of South Harvard Avenue when a dark-colored vehicle approached, and someone inside opened fire, according to Chicago police and the Cook County Medical Examiner's office. He was struck in the head and torso and transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he was tragically pronounced dead. The FBI identifies two individuals as being directly involved in the murder, the brothers Doobie 4 and Tay from Face World 079. According to federal authorities, Doobie 4 was allegedly the driver, while Tay was the shooter. Doobie's alleged presence on the hit had been rumored for a long time, which many found shocking given that he was either a cousin of Lil Mr. or at least someone who shared a very close family-like bond with him. Doobie also had family ties, or a similarly close relationship, with Lil Durk from Lamron and Nusky from Face World 079. Doobie even appeared in Lil Durk's music video for When We Shoot, which was released on July 20, 2020, a year after Lil Mr.'s death. 2 years later, after Doobie himself was killed, Swag De Niro publicly mocked him while honoring Lil Mr., implying that Doobie had been responsible for Lil Mr.'s murder. Over the years, Face World has also mocked Lil Mr. in numerous songs, while Wagga World has responded by mocking fallen members of Face World on Lil Mr.'s anniversary. Now we move to April 1, 2019, when Ty and T. Roy from Face World allegedly shot and killed two women near Wagga World territory. A man was also struck during the incident but survived his injuries. According to police, the victims were sitting inside a silver sedan parked near 77th and Eggleston when three men exited a blue sedan and began firing into their vehicle. Two women, 18-year-old Brittany Rice and 19-year-old Zenobia Brantley, were transported to St. Bernard Hospital, where they were pronounced dead, according to the Cook County Medical Examiner's office. Police also stated that a 19-year-old man later arrived at the University of Chicago Medical Center on his own, where he was treated for a gunshot wound to his right shoulder. Authorities indicated that the shooting appeared to be targeted, according to police department spokesman Anthony Guglielmi. Based on that statement, it is widely believed that the surviving male may have been the intended target rather than the two women. However, it is also possible that the women were somehow connected to whatever led to the shooting, though there is no clear evidence supporting that. Family members of the victims said both young women left behind toddlers. They were described as friends who had been working at a nearby Walmart prior to the shooting. While each woman had reportedly been arrested the previous year in separate downtown shoplifting incidents, neither had any serious criminal history. Now we arrive at June 17, 2019, when Lil Rob and Ty from Face World allegedly opened fire on a Chicago Transit Authority bus, wounding multiple passengers. Fortunately, no one was killed in that incident. About a week later, on June 29th, T-Roy, Lil Rob, Flup, Ty, and an individual identified as David allegedly carried out an armed robbery and assault against 3 victims. During that attack, one of the victims was also sexually assaulted. Exactly 1 month later, Duty 4, Flup, and T-Roy reportedly drove together in a blue van, with T-Roy behind the wheel. According to the allegations, they spotted Donnie from Wugga World at the corner of West 75th Street and South Stewart Avenue and opened fire. Donnie was struck but survived the shooting. However, that same corner was frequently occupied by members of Mothers Against Senseless Killings, a community group working to reduce violence in the area. During the gunfire, 2 of those members were hit by stray bullets. Police later found Chantel Grant, 26, and Andrea Stoudemire, 36, on the sidewalk. Both women were pronounced dead. Both victims were mothers of 4 children and were actively involved in community efforts to curb violence in the Englewood neighborhood, working alongside other mothers in an attempt to make the area safer. The next incident takes us to August 3, 2019, when members of Face World allegedly murdered D. Rose from Wugga World/Dipset. D. Rose was on his way to work in the middle of the day when an unidentified gunman reportedly stepped out of a silver sedan and opened fire in the 7300 block of South Stewart Street. D. Rose, whose real name was Calvin C., was struck in the head and chest. He was transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead less than 30 minutes later, according to authorities. An autopsy later confirmed that he died from multiple gunshot wounds. The gunman allegedly fled northbound on Stewart Avenue following the shooting. A few days later, family and friends gathered at a church located at 8058 South Maryland to remember him. Loved ones described Calvin as quiet, calm, and reserved. He had a strong love for basketball and for his 6-year-old daughter. He was affectionately nicknamed D-Rose after his favorite NBA player and was laid to rest in a white casket, dressed in a red baseball cap. Several squad cars were parked outside the church throughout the funeral service. "They say it's for our protection," one mourner said. Despite the visible police presence, those attending remained focused on honoring and celebrating a man they believed was working to improve his life. "He was here. He was here, and he was special," another mourner shared. The shooters, according to the FBI, were Flup, Doobie, and T. Roy, and Ty was the driver. The reason Face World killed D-Rose was because of a shooting that happened in 079's territory the night before, when several members of Face World were shot at. What is very crazy is that the day after, when the memorial for D-Rose was being held, the very same people who had killed D-Rose, Ty, Moni, Doobie, Flup, and T. Roy, were at it again, outsliding in Wagga World territory, trying to shoot up the memorial for D-Rose. However, as I said earlier, multiple squad cars were outside the memorial, so they didn't manage to do it. Instead, they encountered CJ from Blockburna. Flup gave the gun to D-Roy, who fired shots, hitting CJ and a female while they were sitting in a car. CJ crashed the car and died at the scene, while the female survived. By this point, Doobie, Ty, Flup, and T. Roy had already been directly involved in multiple murders, now having caught 4 bodies within 1 week and 2 bodies in 2 days. Face World was really moving recklessly at this point. Now we are at August 11th, 2019, when Face World members targeted Donnie from Wagga World again and shot him. He survived the attack. This was the second time that happened that year. With that, we are now done with 2019, and just in that year, Face World was already behind 7 murders and showed no signs of stopping. The murder spree would continue into 2020. Now we move to another murder, which Doobie actually orchestrated together with his brother. This was the killing of Savage, a member of the gang STB, which stands for Stone Terrace. According to the FBI, Moni drove Lil Rob, Chubbs, and Flup, who were the main shooters in this murder, while Doobie coordinated the attack with Sko in a second car. The 2 cars were communicating with each other to coordinate the attack and also to locate Savage, and Doobie supplied the shooters with guns. Eventually, they spotted Savage at a gas station in the 8600 block of South Halstead Street in Chicago's Auburn Gresham neighborhood. Chubbs and Flup opened fire, hitting him multiple times, while Doobie and Moni drove to a nearby side street to avoid law enforcement. Savage, whose real name was Paul Harris, tragically died shortly after at the hospital. In Chubbs' plea agreement, he stated that he committed the murder to maintain and increase his position in the Face World street gang, and he also implicated Flup in Savage's killing. 2 years after Chubbs was charged, he was sentenced to 34 years in prison. Keep in mind, he was arrested and sentenced years after Doobie was killed in 2021. The reason or motive for the murder is still unknown, as the indictment does not mention one. Now we arrive at the summer of 2020, specifically July 13th and 14th, when the war between Face World 079 and Wugga World would escalate. On July 13th, Face World lost one of their most highly valued members, Lil Moni. According to the FBI, his murder caused the beef to explode between the two gangs. Moni was gunned down in the 8000 block of South Stewart Avenue, shot in the back and head, and was tragically pronounced dead at the scene. Moni was a beloved and highly active member and rapper from the same generation as Doobie. They grew up together and attended Westcott, and even collaborated musically, for example on the track 1911, released in the late July 2019. The FBI does not identify who from Wugga World was responsible for Moni's murder, only noting the killing as a motive for the events that unfolded the following day. As I mentioned, the very next day, Face World slid through Wugga World's territory to retaliate. They got their revenge by catching none other than Donnie for the third time, and this time, they succeeded in killing him. The drive-by shooting occurred in the 7400 block of South Stewart Avenue. Donnie was struck in the torso and head and was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. A second person, a 42-year-old man who was standing nearby, was shot in the foot. He transported himself to the same hospital and was reported to be in good condition. According to the FBI, top members of Face World, Doobie and Flup, carried out the shooting to get even for Lil Moni. Doobie even referenced the revenge in his song No Cap, rapping, "And for Moni we got back, but we won't speak about that." However, Face World was not done with Wugga World. They wanted further retaliation and, according to the indictment, intended to make Wugga World suffer even more. Just 1 week after Donnie's murder, a funeral was held for him, and that is when they allegedly struck again. On that day, Flup, Doobie, Tay-Tay, and another unidentified member reportedly pulled up to Rhodes' funeral services in the 1000 block of West 79th Street in a Chevy Malibu and began firing multiple rounds at funeral attendees gathered on the sidewalk. Some individuals at the funeral were armed and returned fire, which caused the offender's vehicle to crash. Despite the crash, all 4 occupants managed to escape the scene. What makes the situation even more shocking is that police were already present at the funeral. Prior to the service, the Chicago Police Department had warned officers about the possibility of violence due to the ongoing conflict, and squad cars were stationed nearby. However, surveillance footage later showed CPD officers leaving the immediate area once gunfire erupted. A total of 15 people were shot during the mass shooting outside the funeral home. The scale of the violence drew significant attention and is widely considered one of the major reasons the FBI began closely investigating the conflict between Wugga World and Face World 079. According to the indictment, the plan to target the funeral was allegedly Doobie's idea. FBI claim he was the one who orchestrated it. Next, about a month later on August 27, 2020, Flup and Lil Rob slid and shot an individual. Fortunately, the person survived. Duvey was allegedly the driver during that incident. About a month and a half later, on October 14th, Dinko slid with Flup and another unidentified member and killed LME Samo from the set Feb 090. He was shot outside an apartment complex on High Point Drive in Romeoville, a village in Will County located roughly 26 miles southwest of Chicago. Flup and the unidentified individual were allegedly the triggerman. At the same time, Sco from Face World drove a separate vehicle and acted as a lookout. The FBI also stated that Duvey helped plan the shooting and provided information to the individuals in both cars about where to find LME Samo. According to the investigation, Duvey wanted Samo killed because he believed Samo was affiliated with the rival Gang 900 and that he had been dropping the locations of Face World members. Now we leave behind a chaotic 2020, a year in which Face World allegedly caught 3 bodies, carried out a mass shooting at a funeral, and was involved in multiple other violent incidents. We now move into 2021, the final year in this timeline. The first incident took place on February 16th, when 079 allegedly carried out a hit behind enemy lines and killed Blaze from Wagga World/Pimp Gang. Blaze was sitting in a parked vehicle with a friend in Pimp Gang's territory, outside a KFC restaurant, when Flup, Lil Rob, and Tay Tay reportedly ran up to the car and opened fire. Both Blaze and his friend were struck by gunfire. Blaze was shot in the head and pronounced dead at the scene, according to police. The other individual, a 19-year-old man, was transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center in good condition after suffering a gunshot wound to his hand. According to the investigation, the driver during the hit was Duvey. Two months later, on April 8, 2021, Duvey slid with his brother Tay Tay, with Duvey behind the wheel. They drove around in Wagga World territory looking for a target, while Dinko followed in a second vehicle. At some point, Duvey and Tay Tay spotted the car of the Wagga World member known as Beans, also referred to as the General. They followed him onto Interstate 57 near Halstead Street. When they pulled up alongside his vehicle, Tay Tay opened fire. Beans was struck multiple times, lost control of the car, and crashed into a light pole on I-57. He later died from his injuries. Beans was considered one of Wagga World's most active members and had reportedly been involved in prior shootouts with Face World members. There are also claims that he may have been connected to the killing of a Nusky gang member. He was also well known to law enforcement. In 2015, at just 18 years old, Beans was charged with 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 1 count of unauthorized use of a weapon, and 1 count of possession of a stolen vehicle following a police-involved shooting in mid-February of that year. According to police, officers attempted to stop a suspect driving a stolen car, but he rammed a squad car and several parked vehicles. Investigators stated that when the vehicle finally stopped and officers surrounded it, they ordered him to surrender. Beans allegedly reached into his jacket, revealing the handle of a handgun, at which point officers opened fire. He was transported to a hospital for treatment, and police recovered the weapon at the scene. He was later formally charged and initially held without bail before being released about a year later. Within Wugga world, Beans was said to hold a high rank. Two days later, on April 10, 2021, Dinko and Flip from Face World approached a man at a gas station in Riverdale. They pointed a gun at the car owner and demanded the keys to his gray Kia. After taking the keys, Flip and Dinko drove off in the stolen vehicle. The following day, Flip and Dinko slid in the same Kia they had taken in Riverdale, and they also picked up Lil Rob along the way. During that outing, they killed a man named Harold Green, a 54-year-old. From what I understand, this shooting appeared to be spontaneous. Flip was driving into a gas station when Lil Rob allegedly spotted Harold walking through the parking lot. Lil Rob then told Flip and Dinko that he wanted to kill Harold because he recognized him as the man who had shot him months earlier, after Rob had allegedly attempted to rob Harold at gunpoint. Flip pulled up next to Harold, and both Flip and Dinko rolled down their windows and fired at him from inside the car. It is likely that Harold was not affiliated with any gang and that he had acted in self-defense during the earlier incident when he shot Lil Rob. The FBI also states that during these years, Face World trafficked narcotics, including marijuana and cocaine. Those were all of the incidents included in the FBI's RICO case. Now I'm going to provide a summary of the entire timeline, including the total number of murders committed, which gangs the victims were affiliated with, and how many murders each member was involved in, whether as a shooter, getaway driver, planner, or participant present during the attack. In total, at least 13 murders were committed by members of Face World between 2019 and 2021. Flip, son of Mikey D from Art Gang, was involved in 13 events, 8 murders and 5 attempted murders. Of the 8 murders, he was the shooter in 5, the getaway driver 2 times, and present at 1. Doobie, the face of Face World, was involved in 11 events, 8 murders and 3 attempted murders. Of the 8 murders, he was the shooter in 3, the getaway driver in 3, and present and planning at 2. Tay-Tay, Doobie's older brother, was involved in 7 events, 4 murders and 3 attempted murders. Of the 4 murders, he was the shooter in 3 and plan 1. T-Roy was involved in 6 events, 4 murders and 2 attempted murders. Of the 4 murders, he was the shooter in 2 and the getaway driver in 2. Ty was involved in 5 events, 3 murders and 2 attempted murders. Of the 3 murders, he was the shooter in 2 and the getaway driver in 3. Lil Rob was involved in 5 events, 2 murders and 3 attempted murders. Of the 2 murders, he was the shooter in 1 and present at 1. Dinko was involved in 4 events, 2 murders and 2 attempted murders. Of the 2 murders, he was the shooter in one and the getaway driver in one. Disco was involved in 3 events, 1 murder and 2 attempted murders. He was the getaway driver. Doovie and Flup were really the absolute top killers during this period, and keep in mind, this only accounts for killings between 2019 and 2021. Both of them had earlier bodies as well. During this period, Flup allegedly killed 2 innocent females, Savage from STB, Donnie from Wagga World, and LME Samo from Feb 09, and was the driver or present in the murders of D. Rose from Wagga World, Harold Green, who was innocent, and Blaze from Wagga World / Pimp Gang. Doovie allegedly killed 2 innocent females and Donnie from Wagga World and was the driver, present, or planning the murders of Lil Mister, the other 2 innocent females, Savage from STB, and LME Samo from Feb 090. Doovie and Flup were really reckless, which would later lead to Doovie's fall in November 2021 when he was killed by Lil Fats and Lil Juan from 800 after a reckless armed robbery. All of the named members of Face World in this video are now in custody after being arrested by the FBI. The only one who hasn't been arrested is Doovie since he was killed in 2021. It's pretty clear how this will end, with long prison sentences. These members won't beat a federal RICO case. Even Chubbs, who was the first to be arrested, took a plea deal, and snitched on Flup, still got 34 years in prison. So the rest of them really don't have a chance. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay safe, and may God bless you all. Let me know what you want to see next.